Power is something we rarely think about when it works, but when it fails, everything else quickly follows. Welcome to this conversation on backup power and resilience. We will explore why backup power matters, how threat perceptions are changing, and of course, new solutions. And my name is Lina Bonander. I am Director of Societal Security at SOFF. And with me to discuss this important topic, I have Fredrik Näsström from Blackthorn and Ida Stanglmayr from SFC Energy. Welcome to Heta Soffan.
Thank you.
Thank you. Before we start, I would like to hear more about you. Fredrik, would you like to introduce yourself and how you two relate to each other?
Yes, my name is Fredrik Näsström, and I belong to a company called Blackthorn, and we are a product company, so we're trying to find good solutions on the market and team up with them as our partners, and take them to the Swedish market. So SFC is one of our partners that we work with today for power solutions.
Good to hear. Ida, could you tell us a bit more about SFC and about yourself?
Sure. Thank you, Lina. My name is Ida Stanglmayr. I am from SFC Energy. We are a fuel cell provider from Germany, and we're in Munich. We are very happy to be here today, and we are very happy that we found such a great partner in Sweden, Blackthorn here. And we provide fuel cell energy solutions for different kinds of applications. And I think we will speak about that later on.
We will dive into that soon. But before we dive into that, let's start from the basic. What do we actually mean when we say backup power? What functions in society depend on it, and who are the typical users today? Fredrik, what do you say?
Yeah, the function with backup power is to kick in when the power grid fails, the normal delivery for power, and it's used in many critical functions, and also the functions that need to work all the time, like hospitals, telecommunications, and also a lot of other functions, but the critical functions that need to work, you need the backup solution, power solution.
And if we look at today's threat environment, what kinds of disruptions are we planning for when it comes to energy supply? And what do you think are the biggest weaknesses that we need to plan for?
Yeah, it could be natural disasters that makes the power fail, and crisis, or some wrong configuration that's done in the system power grid. It could be some many reasons why the power fails. But what was the other question you had?
What weakness or gaps that you see today?
Yeah, one of the big weakness I can see is the supply chain for fuel for the backup power solutions. They are running on diesel, and we could have a problem getting the oil to the country and fuel the solutions. That's one big weakness.
Supply chain. And very good. We will dive into new solutions now, because traditionally, as you mentioned, Fredrik, backup power has relied heavily on fossil fuels. But now we see new approaches, new solutions. And Ida, over to you. Could you briefly introduce your company and its role when it comes to fuel cell industry?
Yeah, of course. So, as I said, I represent SFC Energy, which is a company on the market since 25 years. We are a fuel cell producer, but we are not only producing fuel cells, we are producing full energy solutions. And up until now, we have about 100,000 fuel cells produced, and we have a very big fleet in the field, which are working quite well. And we have many different applications for these fuel cells. One of these applications definitely is the backup power case. And there we are focusing on critical infrastructure. So if the power fails or if there is any kind of problem in the supply chain for any fuel, we are there to refuel or to have electricity on site. Also, we are producing fuel cells for other applications that are off-grid, for example, CCTV or traffic management or oil and gas stations. So we have very many different use cases in a power range from 50 watt to 50 kilowatt. And we use it almost everywhere in the energy sector.
Interesting. And for those who are less familiar with this technology, how does fuel cells actually generate energy?
That's a very good question.
Electricity.
Because many people don't know. But the fuel cell itself is a very easy principle. So you have your fuel on the one side and normally use hydrogen, or in our case, we also use directly methanol. But on one side of the fuel cell, you have this fuel, and on the other side, you have oxygen from the air. So in the middle, you have a separation, and this separation only lets through protons. But hydrogen is made up from a proton and an electron. So the proton gets through the barrier in the middle, and the electron stays on the other side, but it would also like to have a chemical reaction with the oxygen on the other side. So what we do, we apply a wire, and the electrical connection makes it possible to get electrical energy out of it. And there you can have your use case, whatever you want to power. So you put in your fuel, hydrogen or methanol, and you put in air, and out you get water or mostly water vapor, your electricity, and some heat. And in the case, if you don't use hydrogen but methanol, you also get a little bit of CO2, but only a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how fuel cells basically work. But you can also see that there are not many moving parts or something. It's just a chemical reaction. So it's very quiet. It is easy to operate. It doesn't need a lot of maintenance. And it's just a good solution for your power supply.
Very interesting. And my next question is, where does this fuel used in the systems, where does it come from?
Yeah, that's also interesting. Of course, we have a methanol supply system all over Europe, all over the world, basically. So you can just get your methanol delivered. For your backup power sources, you will just put some methanol in tank cartridges next to your solution, as much methanol as you would like to. And then if there is a blackout, if there is backup power needed, of course, some methanol is used and you just need to refuel it afterwards. For hydrogen, it is even more interesting because hydrogen is the only chemical energy storage that you can produce yourself in a small scale. So for hydrogen, if you have renewable energies, for example, you can produce your own hydrogen from an electrolyzer and then use it afterwards in a fuel cell. But in between, you store it as hydrogen. So you store the energy as hydrogen, and that makes it very resilient, and that makes it a good solution for any critical infrastructure, because you know you can use the hydrogen that you produced yourself before, and you can store it as long as you want.
Interesting. Thank you very much, Ida. As Fredrik said in the beginning, backup power systems must work under all circumstances. What can you say about maintenance and the operational reliability on these systems?
Yeah, it's also very important because oftentimes maintenance makes up the biggest cost factors when you compare diesel generators to fuel cells. Because our fuel cells are so low in maintenance, you normally only need to go once a year to the site and check everything if everything is all right and so on. So, of course, our fuel cells need to be very reliant for the critical infrastructure and so on. But since, like I told in the beginning, we don't have many moving parts or something, the wear and tear is very low. So you don't have many maintenance factors. Also, our fuel cells from SFC Energy, they run on automatic mode. So they recharge a battery, for example, and they do that automatically. And also they do a test run every 30 days or during a certain time period. So you always know how your fuel cell is doing and if it's still running well or if you need to go to the site. Additional to that, we also have a cloud system where you can read out a few data. So you always know, do I still have methanol or hydrogen on site? You know what the status is of your fuel cell solution, and you get a message when it does not work anymore. So it is very easy to maintain it and also very cost efficient.
And resilient. Fredrik, if we go back to the total defense perspective, backup power is a part of a wider ability to sustain critical functions under stress and in crisis. How should backup power be integrated into a broader preparedness planning at local, national, and sectoral level? What's your point of view?
I think the most important thing is to see in the future what situation do we have regarding our fuel. It's one thing. Do we have our diesel in 10 years, 15 years, or do we need another solution for our backup power that we can fuel in the future? Very important. And also, look in the supply chain that it will work out in a good way. Some users can perhaps produce their own hydrogen. Others need the logistic, someone that provide them with hydrogen. But look wide and look in the future, not just for now.
Look in the future, be prepared maybe. If we look at the responsibilities that lie with public actors and the responsibilities that lie with private companies, do you want to say something about that? The total defense contains a lot of actors and we need to work together. Do you have something to add to that?
Yes, it's a lot of discussions regarding the fuel, both methanol and hydrogen, who will take the responsibility in the value chains for that. And I don't think one important thing is that the private companies won't take all the economic risk in this to make this fuel enabled to the users. So we need to the private companies are ready, but they can't take all the economic risk in this. That's
work together, share risk sharing.
Exactly.
Do you have something, Ida, to add on Fredrik's last point here? Or
when you think about backup power or power resilience, you would think it is a energy matter or a matter of the energy business. But actually, it's not only an energy business anymore. It's a matter of social security, because if the public gets attacked, of course, these critical infrastructures are the most important infrastructures to maintain for all of the people of Sweden, of some other countries, to still be able to live properly and to keep up all of the communications and so on. So it is very important for all of the national security to know what happens in the case of a blackout or if in the case of defense matter. So there I would say it is really important to have good solutions that can provide energy in the case of some unforeseen circumstances.
Good solutions and awareness. We will start to wrap up this conversation, but the last question to both of you. Do you have any last remarks, key takeaways that you want to share with the audience? Something that you want to...
Yeah, I think I will. I want to say thank you to all the visitors here that are so curious about the technology fuel cell we have in our monter, and they have very good questions to us regarding supply for fuel and everything. So it is every new year I'm here at the expo. It's new questions.
New questions
Thank
and
you.
good conversations.
Exactly. Thank you.
And Ida, do you have any last key takeaway that you want to share?
So, of course, I also want to thank you for the invitation, and I'm happy to be here. Also, to all of the people watching, if you have any questions, please come by our booth or talk to us, Blackthorn and SFC Energy. You can also look it up online. We have many reference cases for critical infrastructure where you can see many also pictures and stories of how we deploy our fuel cells. And I would be happy to discuss it with you. So if you would like to have a conversation, just come by. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Fredrik and Ida, for this conversation about backup power and how we secure our societies. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you too.